Yeah, you can start whenever. Sorry.
Okay.
I was just messing with like the settings on the webcam, you know,
Oh, cool.
how that goes.
Yeah. Well, we live.
Oh,
Yeah.
hey,
Good
good morning.
good morning. Hello, and welcome to episode 154 of the Nintendo Fun Club podcast. This is a podcast about Nintendo and about fun. I'm Ryan, and joining me once again is John.
Hey, what's up, Ryan? Good morning.
Hey,
And
good morning. It
Yuna,
is,
good morning.
yeah, Yuna's tail is in full effect here. She is crawling everywhere and purring right now if you're watching the video version. Um, yeah, so we're a little bit late. We're a week and a half late, but hopefully not a buck short. I think actually we may be a buck short on news this week actually. But we've been playing some games and I don't know, we're just gonna roll with it. So yeah, news. We've got something happened. Some Splatoon 2 updates were announced, and it was pretty significant. Updates going from the end of the week to I guess mid December. I don't know if it sounds like it's like two major updates hitting. Um, so yeah, John, what's the deal with these?
Well, Ryan, sorry, my light turned off in the middle of that conversation. I was trying to improvise some lighting here. But the deal is that there's a bunch of free content coming to Splatoon 2, which is pretty sweet. A couple new maps, two new maps, I think, as well as some previous maps from the first Splatoon, which is cool. There's a new Salmon Run stage, which should be pretty sweet, although I still have yet to ever play Salmon Run.
Nice, I
So,
played it once.
yeah. But yeah, so but also new gear, new music, new hairstyles, which some of which I looked at and I was like, how is this different from a previous hairstyle? But some of them look really interesting and different, so that's cool. Um, a new amiibo stuff, like a photo mode, which seems to be a thing that's coming to most of Nintendo's like big games lately. It's a
Yeah.
cool photo mode. Level caps, and even something that people have been asking for a long time and is really cool, the ability to swap gear in the menu, like in between battles. So
Yeah.
it's a pretty huge update, actually, pretty significant, I would say.
Yeah, I mean the gear swapping has been something people have wanted since the first game. Um and I mean I've been playing with the same weapon since the first game. So that doesn't really affect me too much, but I know a lot of people are really really happy about that. Um
Yeah,
I'm
I never switched over to the Splat Dualies. I thought I was going to do that, but I'm still just using like the Splat. Is it called the Splatter Shot Pro? I think like
yeah,
the main one. And you're a roller guy, right?
yeah, I'm still a roller guy.
Weak.
Actually, I feel like I do all right for myself. Um, I've spent years now cultivating my roller skills. So
Hmm.
yeah. Uh, the I'm looking at the NWR report on this, which is where we got our notes from, and the new battle music uh, says two new bands will be contributing both classically based and punk rock inspired tracks.
Oh,
So
you
that's
don't say.
exciting.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, yeah, what else? The level cap will now be level 99. Um, which is crazy because I still think I'm like level 16 or something.
Yeah, I'm somewhere in the teens, like probably lower teens
Yeah.
myself. So,
um, but I mean, all this, just kind of ensures that this is a game that I'm going to keep playing for a really, really long time. And it's cool that they're making like pretty significant upgrades to the game via like free patches. Um, and yeah, because there's also a new mode in there as well, called Clam Blitz, and it's a ranked battle mode, which means I'll probably never really play it. But yeah, I mean that's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. Splatoon 2, I feel like for me personally, it hasn't gotten its due for me yet, just because of like the timing of when it came out. It came out right before we were going back to school. I guess you were already back in school, but like right before I was going back to school, and I was still trying to play through, Zelda at that point. So, and then it's just been busy since then. So I haven't really gone back and played it as much as I would like to, because, I love the game. So stuff like this is incentive to get back in there and do that. And then it would be great to, maybe after the holiday, set up some times for us to get on and play together, because that's another thing that would incentivize it. I've played Mario Kart 8 more, even though I don't want to say I'm less excited about playing Mario Kart, but like it's less of a new game for me, you know what I mean? And there's more to be excited about kind of with Splatoon 2, but I played more of that just because it's easy to play with friends like locally. Whereas unfortunately Splatoon 2, one kind of significant issue with that game for me is that it's tough to play locally, like local multiplayer in Splatoon 2. You can do it, but like, I'll play with, like two other friends sometimes, and like you really can't, I don't know, it's not a good game to just jump in and play local multiplayer with like two other people. You need at least three other people, if not more. Obviously online is a huge part of Splatoon 2, so that's really probably not an issue for that many people, but it's just not something that I am often like setting up times to jump on with people and play online for a few hours together or something. But I'd like to try to do that sometime soon, so that I can get a little more, just have a reason to jump in and play more Splatoon. So
yeah,
it's super fun to play by myself too. Like just jump online and play. Like I don't have to be playing with other people, but that would be a fun thing to do additionally.
Yeah. I kind of feel the same way. Like I like, it's a game like I like a ton and I want to keep like progressing in. But I just haven't, other stuff just keeps coming out, especially when it comes to like online shooters and stuff, because I feel like it came out and then right after that Destiny 2 came out, and I put like more time into that, and then there's been like a lot of updates and stuff in Overwatch, so I've gone back to that, and then now Star Wars Battlefront 2 came out.
Yeah.
So like it's just like it feels like there's always like the even though Splatoon 2 is definitely its own thing, like it's still kind of that, competitive multiplayer experience at its core, as opposed to like a story-based game. So yeah, I feel like it keeps getting kind of brushed aside a little bit for other stuff, but I think maybe in the new year, it'll be a good time to play more Splatoon 2.
Sure. Well, and then definitely next summer. I don't know if they'll be nice if they do a big push next summer in terms of like content and stuff like this as well. But I think Splatoon 2 is paired nicely with warm weather. I feel like, it's just like it's so colorful and vibrant, and with us living in climates that get cold and dreary, like it's still cool to play. But if it's like summertime, I feel like, it's even better. So
yeah, totally. But I definitely am going to play it this weekend. After this update, to kind of poke around and see what's changed, how it feels. So
cool. Yeah. Well, maybe if there's an opportunity, we can set up a time to play together, and I'll just grab like my iPad, a headphone splitter, a microphone, and maybe Skype in the background.
Yeah, I'll just go down to our recording studio, and we can. If
I can find all the pieces of apparatus I need to play online and also talk to you while playing a video game. Yeah. Actually, I had saved his story a while back, and I forgot I was going to like put it in the show notes or bring it up on the show, but I'm sure you probably saw the story on Go Nintendo. There is a company that's selling like a headphone set I don't think it's out yet, but they're selling a headphone set that has like a some kind of Bluetooth mode where it can be connected to two devices at the same time or something like that. And basically, it was a way to have your game audio and your chat audio in this headset. Like even with Switch, it's meant to work with Switch. Of course, it's like $120 or something like that. But that is something like it seems like there already is a solution from a smaller company that may or may not work well. We'll see. But hopefully, Nintendo and or third party chat headset producers are figuring out a way to deal with this.
Yeah,
I have to think they are, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
Not that we need to jump into that whole conversation again. It's just that I'm just bringing it up to say that like maybe something will happen with that eventually to make it less of a total nightmare.
Yeah, it's a consistent annoyance on a piece of hardware that's generally wonderful.
Yep, for sure.
So, cool.
I went ahead and added this without your approval, Ryan. So hopefully there won't be any consequences here.
Nope. Go ahead.
Yeah, Axiom Verge released yesterday at retail, the Multiverse Edition for multiple platforms, including Switch. And I was just reading about that yesterday. I think it's really, really cool and worth pointing out that the publisher of the physical version of Axiom Verge is called Badland Games, which I don't know if you're familiar with them or not. I don't think I am necessarily, but
No.
they're the ones that are putting together this physical release. I guess it wasn't publicized or really talked about ahead of time, but in the manual and then on Thomas Happ's blog, he's the developer of Axiom Verge. He posted a little something about it. That publisher chose to donate 75% of their profits from the Axiom Verge retail release to the trust for Thomas Happ's son, who has a medical condition that's going to require like lifelong care. They chose to donate 75% of those proceeds towards that trust. And I guess it was not part of the deal initially, or it's not like the reason he signed with them or anything like that. Like the deal was done and then they made that offer to him like, hey, we'll do this. And I just think that's super cool. So if you're on the fence about picking up that game in a physical format, like I would say that's one extra little kind of incentive there is like, you can feel good about the fact that all parties involved are, putting that game out for the right reasons, I guess. And even, choosing to do some charitable and kind things with a lot of the proceeds from the game. So I just thought that was cool.
Yeah. I was kind of on the fence about getting this because I already have the game on PS4. But I definitely think I am going to pick up this, and it apparently like it's also just like a beautiful edition of the game. Like it's just a really, really nice collector's edition.
Yep.
I mean, this is such a good cause, and I think I'm into it.
Yeah, me too, for sure. And I same. I was on the fence, but now I feel like it's that much more likely I'll get it. And I've played through the first half of Axiom Verge twice and then never finished it just because like I have it on the PC and it's not that often I come up here and sit down in my office to play PC games, So I think if I get the Switch version, I'm a lot more likely to like actually finish the game. And it seems like something that would be really cool to have on a handheld as well. So, that is definitely a good thing.
Totally.
Also, just real quick, could I just real quick? Sorry.
No, it's
taken over.
New host.
Yeah.
Nintendo Fun Club podcast. Welcome to John's show.
Well, I just wanted to let you know and let listeners know, in case you guys didn't, that there's a Mario movie coming in a couple of years. Totally confirmed. 3D animated Mario movie on the way. From Despicable Me producers, not producers, but animation studio. So I know this is the kind of thing that you generally don't like to talk about, Ryan, because it's like not really a thing yet. It's not totally confirmed. It's just rumored at this point. But I don't know. The three of us, you and I and Kevin had a fun conversation a couple days ago, or like a week or two ago, talking about that and the possibilities of it. And I think it's just it's interesting that a Mario cartoon is probably on the way. I think it's like this is like the second story we've heard like this coming out. The first one a couple years ago was like Sony doing a Mario animated film and whatnot. And I don't know. I just feel like it's definitely happening one way or another. We'll see. And it's interesting. But we don't know anything about it, so there's not too much to say. But I thought that was a pretty big story, that happened since our last show. Like animated Mario movie, most likely on the way. So
yeah.
When we talked about it via text message, not intended for Nintendo Fun Club podcast, we all kind of I think came down to the conclusion that it'll be interesting. Hopefully it'll be good, especially for kids. And it'll be probably the extent to which we enjoy it will probably depend on the extent to which it's marketed towards kids and families and stuff versus trying to be, I think, something that's, I don't know, for adult audiences or something like that. I can imagine a fun Mario movie that's just really targeted towards kids and just kind of silly and, just a fun kids movie. I can see that being pretty great. And, Despicable Me. Have you seen any of those movies?
I have not.
Oh, that's weird. I'm surprised you haven't devoted time to seeing Despicable Me movies as a grown man. I have seen them a little bit here and there because of my kids.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's a lot of physical comedy in those movies, and they're just bright and colorful and fun. So I feel like that's a good recipe for a Mario cartoon, so we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I think kind of what I would like from a Mario cartoon would be maybe something that something less slapsticky and more like a whimsical, surreal adventure.
Okay.
But I don't know if that's something that would sell these days, but I don't know.
It would be interesting. I mean, like a Mario Galaxy type, storybook type thing. Is that what you're thinking?
And maybe just cool. Double down on the weirdness
Rosalina
of it. Well, yeah, I mean that would be great. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I'd want out of a Mario movie. That's not something I'm really chomping at the bit for. But I think, it will help with brand recognition, and it's one of those other Nintendo things that may not be exactly for us, but helps the company as a whole.
Yeah.
So I mean, but I just hope it's good and not I mean, obviously it's not going to be a disaster like the live action movie. I don't think something like that could be repeated now, but I hope it's not something that's just incredibly mediocre either. That's just quickly forgotten. Because I feel like in the area of kids movies, you either hit or you don't. And there's not really much middle ground. And I feel what was it, 2 years ago? Sony released a Ratchet and Clank movie.
Yep. And
apparently it was just, I didn't see it, but apparently it was just pretty mediocre. And it was just gone, from public consciousness within a week.
I remember all the stories about that being a new Ratchet and Clank movie. The game is actually pretty good, even though the movie is pretty.
The game is
not
good.
Great. Yeah,
it's really good.
Yeah, I think the difference there, though. Well, number one, I feel like the reason we've been hearing about these leaked stories about a Mario animated movie over the last couple of years is because Nintendo's going out there and trying to put together a deal that will ensure it's a great movie, and they're not just like rushing it out. So I think that's a good sign. The fact that we've been hearing about it for a while means that they're shopping it around and making sure they get the right fit in terms of a production company and all that stuff. The other thing too is I think, like, I don't know, it sounds like that Ratchet and Clank movie maybe wasn't very good, which is a big part of the reason it disappeared. But also, like with there having never been anything like this for Mario except for the live action movie, which was at this point 25 years ago. Like, I think it'll be a very big deal. Like, it'll be huge when Nintendo does this. And like, I can't imagine families and like kids and stuff not like going to the movie theater in droves to see an animated Mario movie. So if it's good, then it's going to be a big deal. I mean, if it totally sucks, I still think it's going to be a bunch of people going to the theater to see it, but then obviously that's not going to be a good thing for the brand or for the company or for the movie or whatever. But I think it'll be like culturally, it'll be a big deal. You know what I mean? Like a Mario animated movie. And I think a lot of people will turn up.
Yeah. I don't know. We shall see. We'll see where it goes.
Yeah, we will. And since I'm the host of Nintendo Fun Club now,
what's our next topic?
Our next topic is a game that I've been playing, which is Mario Odyssey. Yeah.
Oh, I've heard of that.
Yeah, and I bring it up because I beat it on Sunday.
Nice.
Which I had taken a good week and a half off of playing Mario Odyssey for personal reasons and also for just like time reasons and stuff. So whatever. So it had been a while since I'd played. Like, I was really at the point where I was about to beat it a good week and a half ago, but then I took a break. So anyways, I came back, I finished it on Sunday, and both of my kids like sat down on the couch with me, and I kind of waited for them too. I was like, okay, we're gonna take on Bowser today, we're gonna finish the game, all that stuff. And it was great, and we had a blast, and we finished the game, and it was super cool. And they were like, for the rest of the day, they were like running around downstairs, like playing Mario Odyssey, like chasing each other around, pretending to be like Mario and Bowser and stuff. And then the other night we were watching Survivor Series. My son was taking his John Cena hat and like throwing it around. And he was like, it glides just like Happy. He was like, it's just like Happy, like when I throw it. Yeah. and like every once in a while he would say stuff to me, like we'd be in the car and he'd be like, Cappy's my favorite character in Mario Odyssey, or like, what's your favorite level in Mario Odyssey, or what was the worst level? Like, he would just be talking about it a lot and stuff. And I guess my point here, kind of back on the topic of an animated movie, is that like with a little bit of exposure to like a cool sequence in Mario Odyssey, like these kids were like all about Mario, and Owen's going to keep playing Mario Odyssey because he's older. And Elliot went downstairs and, like over the last couple of days, he's played some Mario 3D World on the Wii U, and he's played some Mario Kart and stuff. So they like Mario a lot. But like getting like a big, like, I don't know, it's like a set piece, like sequence exposure to Mario got them super hyped on Mario, and I'm just thinking about that, like on a larger scale with like, kids throughout the world. Like if they put out a Mario movie that like is targeted towards kids and kids can go see. And I just think it'll be a really big deal. And I think it's, personally, I feel like, because we were talking about the movie, and I am going to talk about Mario Odyssey and not the movie at this point, but we were talking about the movie over text, and it was like, I don't know, do I want to see that? Is that something I'm even interested in? A Mario movie? I don't know. But like, I just saw on Sunday, like what an impact, like some cool Mario stuff can have on kids, like if they are exposed to it, So I think it's pretty important actually that Nintendo do that and like put out a cool Mario movie, and I think they will.
Yeah, and I mean, when I think back to myself as a kid, and like the impact that series had on me, I mean, I literally remember the first time I saw Super Mario Brothers played at like a friend of the family's house, and like I remember just like after watching some like older kids play it for a while, I remember like just all the stuff I imagined that was in the game that wasn't really in there when I actually got an NES and sat down and played it. But I also remember like being a kid and like drawing Mario levels in my notebook and reading Nintendo Power and reading the instruction manual for Super Mario Brothers over and over again. And just like just how it got my imagination going. And that's why I said earlier, like I want the movie to be like whimsical and surreal, because those are like the feelings I kind of associate with the series. But I also remember as a kid watching the Super Mario Brothers Super Show, which is not very good, um, and still like being so excited to tune into that, every Saturday morning or whatever, and loving it.
Yep.
So,
Yeah. Okay, cool. So, but on the topic of Mario Odyssey, like I said, I finished it. The ending is very cool. I won't, get into like
it's
everything
super
about
good.
it, but it's super cool. Really fun. And now I'm doing post game content stuff, and I have to say, like the first post ending content kingdom, whatever you want to say, is like super cool. I had a super good reaction to that, and I haven't gone all the way through it, but the bit I've done so far is like, oh my god, this is perfect. What a great idea. So that is cool. How much have you played now since like finishing the game? Did you I know you haven't been playing it too much recently, but like did you play a fair amount past the
after I finished it, probably for a few days afterwards, I would just load it up and do do that post game kingdom, which is super super cool. And then I was kind of going back and just like jumping back and forth to some of the other kingdoms and seeing if I could find any moons or anything just by like running around. But I haven't really put a ton of time into it. Post game, I've had a lot of distractions since then, but it's obviously a game I'm going to be revisiting for years, because I think it's going to age very well, and I think it will always be something to kind of go back to.
Yeah, I really want to get a Bowser amiibo. I think I've heard that the Bowser amiibo is the one you use to locate like purple coins you might be missing. Because I have a few kingdoms where I'm like, I don't know, a handful of purple coins short. So that's something I'd like to do, is go through each kingdom and get all the purple coins.
Okay.
Which I'm sure I could probably do without Bowser, but I don't actually have a Bowser amiibo, like even one of the older ones. So
bummer.
Yeah. So I don't know if I would assume an older Bowser works, because like the Peach and Mario amiibo that are not from Mario Odyssey still do like the heart upgrades and the invincibility and all that, just like the wedding set amiibo do. So so that's cool. Yeah, hold on just
yeah, I think I've only used my wedding set amiibo. I haven't actually tried any of my older ones, so I'm not totally sure on that. But I don't know. I'd say if you are going to buy a Bowser amiibo, try to get the wedding outfit one, just because it's amazing.
Yeah, no, I'd like to get that set for sure. We'll see. Sorry for the interruption. I just had to tell my son to. He thought my wife wasn't here. I had to tell him my wife is probably downstairs with Bowser. So he just had to go find her. We just got a cat named. We just got a new cat and named him Bowser. So yeah,
perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, coming together.
So yeah. Although one last thing I'll say about Odyssey here before we move on, because I'll make the decision now as host that we can move on to a different game.
Definitely. Let me know.
I don't think, just playing Odyssey right now, I don't think I will attempt like 100% completion with moons and stuff. We'll see, but it's just such an insane number of moons that it's like, I don't know. I feel like it'd be too much, when it was like, oh, well, get 120 or get 240, shines or stars or whatever. It's like, yeah, that's pretty doable and something that would be fun. Or like when it's getting all the star coins in a level in previous like 2D Mario games, sure, I'll go for it. But to hit the number of moons that are in Odyssey, I think is going to be kind of crazy. So if I get like 70% of them, I feel like I'll probably have had my fill of the game.
Yeah, but I also think you get them a lot faster than in previous 3D Mario games.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I mean, you can get like 5 moons in like 15 minutes.
Mhm.
I mean, depending. But then some of them are like, I don't know. There were some challenges in the post game kingdom where I spent like half an hour trying to beat like one part to get a moon.
Yeah, and I just feel like when I get down to like the last 150 or something, like they're all going to be slow to get and difficult to get, and it'll be like, I don't know, maybe too much. We'll see.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna keep picking away at it, but
let's put it this way. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I haven't been a completionist about Mario games since 64.
Yeah.
So, I'm pretty okay. I what's actually more likely for me is that I'll start a new game and replay it before I get all the moons, because that's kind of the approach I take, even like to the new Super Mario Brothers games and stuff. Like I like to restart them and play them from the beginning.
Sure. So. I was just gonna say, let's put it this way: like I'm a lot more likely. I don't have 120 shrines in Zelda yet, and I definitely would rather probably get 120 shrines in that game before getting 10 billion moons in Mario Odyssey. So
yeah, I don't have that either. But I don't know.
You feel like you don't necessarily need to go around and get all.
No, that's another thing. Like when I think about playing Breath of the Wild, like I think about how fun it would be to restart it.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. But that's something I feel like I'll want to do in like 2 years or something. So
yeah. I'm not very much of a completionist in video games at all at this point. So I don't know. Okay. Cool. Well, something.
Ryan, what have you been playing? Because I'm hosting. What have you been playing,
wow. Ryan? Great question. So I was not planning on buying Skyrim for Switch. I was not planning on it because I have just recently purchased an Xbox One X, which was a very expensive video game thing. And I was like, I can't spend any more money on video games for a really long time. And then my wife and I were watching wrestling on Sunday night. We were watching Survivor Series, and she was on the couch, and she had purchased Skyrim on the Switch, and we were sitting there during like a commercial break or a down moment or something, and like I was just like looking over and just like watching her play Skyrim on the Switch on the couch, and I was like, oh man, like I own this game on like 5 other platforms, but I think I need to buy it again. And so I bought Skyrim on the Switch, and it has been an amazing supplement to wrestling watching over the past few nights. It's been really cool to be able to play this giant open world RPG that's generally pretty chill, especially if you drop the difficulty down. Like it's something you can, at this point, like I've played hundreds and hundreds of hours of this game across multiple platforms. Like I have like a very, very good feel of it. So it's definitely not too demanding for me, and it's kind of just a perfect game to be playing while you're doing something else or watching something. Mm-hmm. And so yeah, I've been I started watching Supergirl the other day on Netflix, and I was playing it as I was watching, and during wrestling, and then like other times just like chilling out before I go to bed, and when I wake up in the morning. And it's so easy with the Switch. You just grab the system, and you're like right back in there if um, put it into sleep mode while playing. And our friend Ian described it as like he's been playing it, and he's been playing it before bed, and he describes it as like reading a fantasy novel before you go to sleep. And I think that's like a really, really apt description, because you're kind of just like lost in this fantasy world. Um and yeah, it's really cool. And so I guess like talking about like the actual game, I don't think anyone needs me to describe what Skyrim is. It's an open world fantasy RPG with some lovable jankiness to it, but also just incredible possibilities. It's still like it's still kind of mind blowing. A lot of like when you start to notice all the moving pieces within the game, that this is a game that came out originally in 2011. But I have played the game on PS3, Xbox 360, PC, um, PS4, and Xbox One. Um,
My God.
yeah.
Why?
Well, because like I I first bought the game on PS3, and that version was really, really bad. So then, and this is like 5 years ago, then I got it on Xbox 360, and then it was like on sale at one point on Steam. So I got it on Steam to check it out and mess with like the mods and stuff. And then Lindsay got it for PS4, and then I had bought it for Xbox One, the remaster. So I've played it on all these platforms previously, and so I can kind of speak to like how good of a port the Switch version is, and it's really, really good. It is like there was always that question leading up to the game, like, is this going to just be the Xbox 360 game, or is it going to be the remaster with like the improved lighting and textures and like some of the quality of life stuff? And it is indeed the remaster that came out on PS4 and Xbox One. And it includes all the DLC, which is like a pretty insane amount of like, it's like the DLC is like hundreds of hours of content. And it also like runs a lot smoother than the original console releases on PS 360. But it has like a lot of the quality of life features from the remaster, which I think are the biggest deal, like having a really fast quick save mode, and like shortened load times. I was actually like pretty worried about the load times going into it. That was like where I felt like the game could really suffer on Switch, but I'd say they are it's not they're not as fast as the load times on the Xbox One X, I think. Because I've seen, with that console, I've seen shortened load times across the board on like all of my games. And it's definitely I feel like it's pretty snappy. But it's definitely not too egregious to like even really be noticeable on Switch. So I'm super, super impressed with the port. Like in indoor areas, the game looks incredible on the screen. Outdoor areas, if you look too far in the distance, you start to kind of see where a few corners were cut. But overall, like it's really, really impressive. It's really smooth. I haven't encountered um, really any like glitches or freezes or major bugs or anything in it. It's just a really, really incredible incredible port. It feels kind of like magic playing the game on a handheld and having it like look as good as it does. And
In
I
terms
think
of the look, like in terms of the look, like is it would you say it like I know you said it's the remastered edition. So
Mhm.
like do you think it looks closer to that PS4 and Xbox One version of the game than it does like the PS3 360 version
Yeah.
or yeah, cuz I'm
Mhm.
sure like it's got to have like certain things turned off and like, obviously like there's no way that I think they could run the PS4 Xbox One version on Switch like
Mhm.
totally, but I guess we're seeing
Yeah.
we're seeing Doom, on Switch and having it be, pretty close to the PS4
Mhm.
version. So I'm guessing it's just like something along those lines where, it's the same version of the game visually speaking, but like certain resolutions are toned down, or frame rate maybe is different, or like certain lighting effects or whatever turned off.
Yeah. I feel like the frame rate is pretty right on.
Well, maybe
Um,
that game probably didn't run at 60 frames.
no, but I think
So
it feels like a fairly solid 30
yeah.
on Switch. Like I haven't really encountered any major frame drops.
Hmm.
But yeah, I'd say like indoor areas, like it can definitely hang with the Xbox One PS4 versions. Especially on that screen. I think where you'd really start to see the differences if you were playing in docked mode, and like if you're on a 4K TV and you're switching back and forth between your inputs running like the um running like an Xbox One X or the Switch, like I think you'd be able to see it really apparent.
Yeah.
I'm guessing, but I think just like on that small screen it looks phenomenal. And the only part where I'm like, oh, I noticed that is like objects like far off in the distance are a little bit like some there's like a little bit of a texture drop, some extra aliasing kind of thing.
Yeah.
They're a little fuzzy um in the distance, but
That's like we always say when it comes to this topic. I think that's totally worth like not a big deal when you consider the fact that you have the ability to play it on the go.
yep.
That's definitely a fair trade off. I feel like,
Mhm.
and I don't, it's not a game for me. Not super interested in it myself, but like I feel like if you're somebody who played it on a previous generation or whatever, then like it's a huge game, and if you've already played it, I would think most people wouldn't necessarily be chomping at the bit to like put another 150 hours into a game they've already put 150 hours into necessarily. But if you have played it before, maybe it would be a great thing to have like just portable access to, like you
Mhm.
said, play it on the couch while you're doing something else, or if you're on the road and you want to bring it with you just to play like here and there. If it's a game and love, like having the opportunity to just pick it up and play it here and there, in like an improved version. If you played the previous generations, version of the game, you didn't get the PS4 Xbox One remaster,
Mhm.
and you have a Switch, you could play it on the Switch, get basically, pretty much the same experience as on those other platforms, but be able to play it portably. And I just feel like, yeah, like I said, like a huge game like that you've already played, maybe it makes more sense to play that in a portable format rather than being like, oh, okay, well, I have so much time in a week I'm going to devote to playing games on my big TV. Like maybe you want to play
Mhm.
something new that you haven't played before when you're playing games like that.
Exactly.
But if you're going to play something like in a different setting, then this would be a good candidate.
Yep. Yep. And I think that's because that's kind of where I was. Like, I'm like, well, this is cool that this is happening, but I've already put a ton of time into Skyrim. But then, you know, as, something to play casually, it is perfect
Yeah.
on Switch. And yeah, I mean, it's such just it's such a replayable game too, because there's so many variables you can tinker with, from the type of character you play to which just which direction and which order you do things in, and what you do and what skills you develop. It's so like infinitely replayable. that it's just absolutely perfect on Switch.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Okay.
What's next? What's up next? What
Yeah, I'm going to make the executive decision to talk very briefly about Rocket League next. That's a choice I can make as host of the show. And I've been playing Rocket League on the Switch, or to say I've been playing it is maybe an exaggeration. I played it yesterday on the Switch. And I have not, and that's because I was able to play with a couple of friends just for a brief period of time, Kevin being one of them. And it was, me and Kevin and my friend Eric, and none of us had ever played Rocket League before. And so we played it on the Switch split screen, in tabletop mode. We did a couple rounds and I had a blast. It was mostly like figuring out what I was doing. It was a one-on-one match with no bots. So, like just us trying to figure out how to play Rocket League because we've never played it before. On a tiny, tiny screen. But it was really cool. And I think all parties involved were like, yeah, I need to get this on the Switch. So I think next time we play, it'll probably be handheld mode. Again, but if everybody has their own copy of the game, then I think it's going to be really fun that way too. So, yeah, I don't have any big thoughts on it because, like I said, I played a total of like 20 minutes, and I've never played the game before. But it was great. It ran really well, and it was super super fun. I can already see where this is like a game to go into the multiplayer rotation, like Mario Kart and Splatoon and maybe Overcooked, if you've played that. But one of the Switch games that could be really fun for like party settings and just like multiplayer stuff with friends. So that's out on the Switch now, and I'm looking forward to spending some more time with that one for sure.
Yeah, Rocket League is so good. It's so fun. That's definitely something I want to try, the cross-platform play, because I have it on Xbox One. And I'd like to see if we can I'm not totally sure how the cross-platform play works. Like if it's like if you can play with friends on other systems, or if it's just like you can get into random multiplayer lobbies on different systems.
Right.
But it's also a game like I have no problem. I haven't bought it on Switch yet, but I have no problem buying that game again to have it portably, because it's it's just such a fun game and such a pick up and play.
Yeah.
Great game. So original, like, and it almost feels like it's like at home on a Nintendo system, because it has that sort of that classic like Nintendo sports pick up and play type vibe, where it's like a silly take on something with just like really really tight controls and just so fun.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, let's talk about our final game for today, which is the newest game, and that's Animal Crossing Pocket Camp, which was supposed to come out today, but actually dropped in the App Store for iOS, and I'm assuming for Android too. I don't know, but came out yesterday, right? But I think the 22nd was the actual release date. And that's today. So. But I guess App Store stuff, it's, sometimes it drops early, I guess. I don't know. I don't usually pay. There's not usually apps that I'm like that excited about coming out of the App Store that I'm like wondering what day it's going to happen. So anyway, I downloaded it last night and played a little bit. I'm sure you did as well. And multiple friends of ours were sending me their friend codes, which was a weird experience in 2017. But I was getting a bunch of friend codes from people last night as well. So yeah, how much have you played Pocket Camp, Ryan?
I've played, I don't know, I guess through the because it's very tutorial-y at the beginning. You don't have much choice or freedom. I played to like the point where it opened up and you could kind of just do whatever, and I just completed some tasks, and that was about it.
Okay. Yeah, I might still be in the oh no, what's going on? I just opened it up to talk or to take a look, and I don't know if it saved all my progress or what, because like I keep getting communication errors. I don't know what the deal is. Like it's telling me, are you getting those too?
Yeah, I haven't. But I heard that was a big problem yesterday morning when it first dropped.
Uh-huh.
So,
It was just trying to teach me. I just opened it up and it was trying to teach me how to fish again. And I was like, no, 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 I already did this. So that made me nervous that maybe I lost some progress or something.
hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's like for my brief, I probably maybe played an hour or whatever. For my brief experience with it so far, it's what we thought it would be based on the direct, which is like
Hmm.
just a smaller version of the full Animal Crossing like experience. And one thing I thought was interesting, from my initial playtime here is like you go to a beach, right? Like normally in an Animal Crossing game, you would walk from wherever you are in your town, like down to the beach.
Hmm.
And then when you're on the beach, you could go from there to anywhere else you wanted to go. Whereas in this game, it's more like the beach is a pretty small area. And then if you want to go somewhere else, you open up a map and like click on that place, and then you just like warp there.
Fast travel, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like really small screens, like small areas
Hmm.
um, to move through, which is obviously a difference between this and like a full Animal Crossing game. But like once you're in that small screen, what you're doing is really, really similar to like other Animal Crossing games. You're, talking to villagers, fishing, collecting fruit, going into shops. Like it feels very much like gameplay wise, very similar to like the full on Animal Crossing game. It's just condensed, smaller.
Yeah, like it really kind of breaks the game down to like just the actual work you do.
Yeah.
Um, and I think um like I mean that's pretty cool. That's pretty perfect for a mobile game where you can just like sign in and just like tap on some stuff and make a little bit of progress, and it's very very task based. Like every area you click on, it's like here there's a villager that needs x amount of y, and so you're just kind of like you're just like basically doing side quests. You're just fulfilling tasks in it. Um, and I think that works really well for the mobile experience. Um, but I don't think for me this replaces the Animal Crossing experience. Because I think part of the Animal Crossing experience for me are those moments in between when you're just gathering fruit. Uh, I think having that feeling of like being able to walk around a town and all like the surprises that um can happen. You never really know what's going to show up. Where and in just that like kind of chill like wandering and sort of I don't know, like something that's I think cool about Animal Crossing is it's like a video game that is kind of directionless in a way, and that you can just sort of go in and just wander around and do whatever. Whereas this version really condenses it down to like these are very video gamey tasks you must fulfill.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it works really well for a mobile experience, as like a really pleasant sort of time waster. But I feel like it's lacking something holistically.
Yeah. I don't know. See, I think as the years have gone on, I've become less and less interested in Animal Crossing. Like it just feels like work to me a lot of the times. And then I think the only reason or the biggest reason I was ever kind of into it in the first place is the social interaction with
Mm.
friends. And on the DS, I almost called it 2DS. On the DS,
Mhm.
That's when I really loved Animal Crossing the most. And it's
Yeah.
because like whenever my friends would come over, everybody would like bring their DSs and we'd play Animal Crossing together and stuff. 3DS, that was there to a certain extent, but not as much because not as many people are playing it. The Wii one totally fell flat for me, partially because the online stuff was just garbage. So like it wasn't really fun in that regard. But anyways, the point I'm trying to make here is like the idea that I don't have to spend time like walking from one place to the next is actually probably a plus for me because
Mhm.
I get kind of bored with the rat race of Animal Crossing, to be honest. Like it gets a little monotonous to me. And like if they can cut that down where, like the old game was about doing work all the time too, I feel like. But if they can cut it down so like getting that work done is a little quicker for me. It's like Stardew Valley. I know that game is great and people love it and I'm sure it's really, really good. But like when I hear people talk about like what you do in that game, like a sim style game with a lot of like tasks to complete,
Mhm.
that just does not excite me at all. And it's true for Animal Crossing too. Animal Crossing is really charming and cute and stuff and like has great dialogue and all that stuff. So there's a little bit of an appeal there, but at the end of the day, the core gameplay is not something that I'm really in love with in Animal Crossing, even the old ones. So breaking it down into smaller chunks, like for me, that may even be like a good thing. But
Mhm.
if the social interaction in this game is not great, then I feel like that's what's gonna like either it's gonna live or die for me on that. And so far, I can't even like I said, I haven't played it that much, but I don't even really understand how the whole friend thing works because I've tried to add people as friends. Like I'll be walking around in my town and like see a villager, like not a villager, not an animal, but like another person, and tap on it. But it seems to be just like random people that are showing
Mhm.
up. Um, and I've sent friend requests and stuff. So like if I'm running around now and like my town starts to be populated by like my friends and I can tap on them. But even then, I guess like what's going to happen? I can like see what they have in their town or I can like, sell stuff to them or whatever. I guess. I don't know. Um, I guess I'm just trying to like, I'm wondering here, like, is this going to be
Mhm.
something that's like, oh, everybody's playing this and we're all having fun together in some way? Or is it
Mhm.
going to be more of an isolated experience? If it is an isolated experience where it's just me working so I can build stuff in a town, I don't know that I'll necessarily, you know what I mean, be that excited
Mhm.
about that.
Yeah, I've completely just added friends using the Twitter link.
Yeah.
I haven't done any friend code stuff. Like I've just added some Twitter friends and had a few requests there. Um, yeah, I think it's kind of interesting that you can have like your sort of you have these like baskets that you can put items in and sell to your friends that they can just click on you in the friends list and like buy things that you have for sale. Just an interesting thing. Um, but yeah, I think it will be interesting to see how that social element plays out. Um, because I mean, like my Twitter feed is pretty hardcore Nintendo. And usually when an Animal Crossing game comes out, it's like when the 3DS one came out, like my Twitter feed was almost entirely screenshots from that game
Yeah.
and friend code stuff. And I feel like even though this is like way more designed to have that connectivity, I'm not really seeing it yet, and I haven't played enough of it to kind of like you said, like really understand what the social component is. So I guess it will be interesting to see how that plays out. But as it stands right now, it's kind of kind of one of those things like the in the same way like Fire Emblem Heroes was, where if I'm in a situation where all I have is my phone and I've already refreshed Twitter and like my news sites and stuff, like I might load it up to just complete a few tasks, but it's not something I'm going to. I mean, and this is kind of weird because now like we're in this era where the Switch exists, and it's like if I'm sitting on the couch watching something, like I'm not so like I said, like I'm not really playing with my phone as much. I'm playing like Skyrim on my Switch. Um, so I don't know. Like it'll be interesting to see how this game kind of works in my life, but I don't know. I feel like I could go either way on it right now.
Yeah, no, I agree. I just visited a friend's town or campsite, I
Mm.
should say. So you can do that, I guess. Although I don't know that this person is friends with me. This is Cluck Truck, and like he gave me a kudos. Like I went into my menu to see like
Mhm.
if anybody had like accepted my friend requests,
Mhm.
and it still shows me as not having any friends unless I'm looking in the wrong place. But then like I saw that I had kudos from Cluck, which I don't know exactly what that means, but yeah, anyways, I guess I'm
Mm.
still figuring it out here. But I did go visit his campsite, and then but I think at that point all I can do is it looks like I can give him kudos, which I just did, and I clapped at him and then he smiled. Or I can view his market box if he's selling stuff, but I don't think he's selling anything in his market box. So but I don't know. The other thing that could make it could get me like a little more hooked or whatever, or see me more excited about playing regularly is if there's a lot of cool Nintendo themed stuff that I can eventually put in my campsite and in my camper and things like that. Well, that was a big thing with the 3DS one too, or the DS one was like getting all those question blocks and Mario themed things and the like the
Right.
wallpaper and the carpet and all that stuff was cool. So that could be something that I don't know much about with this game that could be cool too. So
Yeah.
but, yeah, we'll see.
We'll see.
I definitely plan on playing it, for a while, and we'll see if it gets me hooked or whatever. But
Mhm.
I don't know. I guess I'm not quite it sounds like I'm not a huge Animal Crossing person at the end of the day. So there's a little bit of reluctance with me or from me because of that. And then it sounds like you are pretty into the Animal Crossing thing, but not sure that a cell phone version is what you're really here for right now. So
Yeah. Yeah. There's just a lot of ways to spend my time. And that's kind of the thing. But I think it will be also different. Like right now I'm on fall break, so I'm just like at home and I have access to like my Xbox One and my comic books and my Switch and all this stuff. And Netflix. And like I think it will be different once I'm like out and about in with just my phone. Maybe it will become more desirable there, but
yeah, in previous Animal Crossing games, like you always talk about earlier, I know Kevin always brings this up, and I think it's a good point. Like with Animal Crossing, after the first week or two, it's about playing for like 15, 20 minutes a day. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And with this game, I feel like it's going to become about playing for 5 minutes here and there. You know what I mean? Versus like not even 20 minutes at a time. But
Right.
it is like, a Switch version would obviously be better. But then again, at the same time, like there is more of a process for even for playing Switch. Like I usually don't have it attached to my body. You know what I mean? So like if I'm going to play Switch, like I got to get up, go get the Switch, maybe take a card out and put a different card in, whatever. It's not a big deal, but like if I'm going to grab it, I want to play for 20 minutes at least. I don't want to grab it and play for 5 minutes. I'm going to play for a significant amount of time. Whereas with my phone, I might pull my phone out and open it up, just do something for 2 minutes or whatever. So I think there is the opportunity for, this game to take off in terms of like something you do for a really brief period of time. And obviously it's designed with that in mind to a certain extent too. So we'll see. I mean, that could be a good thing for Animal Crossing. I could see a situation where, in the end, this is blasphemous or whatever, but like, I feel like I could see a situation where in the end, like a better home for Animal Crossing is on a phone than on a gaming device, for that game specifically. I do think it's kind of silly not to acknowledge that like for certain applications or game experiences, like maybe a phone is a better place to do it, I really like Picross. Like at the end of the day, if Nintendo put out a Picross game on my cell phone, that would probably be a better way to do it than on the Switch, because like I don't really need a Switch to play Picross. You know what I mean? I'm just tapping boxes. Like I would have played more Picross than I have at this point if it was on my phone instead of on my Switch. Doesn't mean I don't want it on the Switch, but at the same time, like there are certain limited cases, but there are certain cases where I just feel like is being on a video game platform, like a dedicated video game platform, always better? I think usually for Nintendo games, almost always it is, but like it's not necessarily always better to have it on a game platform.
Yeah, I don't know, because I also feel like on my phone there's way more stuff competing for my attention. Because I still, like, even with all the Nintendo games that have hit on there, I still, like, when I'm on my phone, I'm refreshing Twitter, or looking at Reset Era forums, or checking like one of 1,000 news sites I have on there, or texting. And I don't know, it's not, I'm not really ever in situations where I'm gonna, you know,
Yeah, but I think
use my phone to play a game.
I think that's a different conversation, though. That's a different that's like, how does Ryan interact with his phone versus his consoles? I think that's different than like what device is best suited for a certain type of gameplay experience. You know what I mean? Because you've got 30 years of like conditioning to play things on a console, to play video games on a console. And I don't know. I mean, I'm not really a proponent of video games on phones. I never play them. I almost never play them either. You know what I mean? So like it's just, I'm just saying at a certain point, like, and it's probably different for most people too, because if a lot of people are probably hoping to get something out of Animal Crossing that's more akin to what they get out of Stardew Valley. Like, I am looking at Stardew Valley saying, no thanks, that's not something I probably would ever play. And I'm looking at like spending an hour a day playing Animal Crossing as, no thanks, that's not something I want to do. So then when it comes down to like, if I'm going to play this in 5-minute chunks, like, and it doesn't require any, like, it doesn't need a control stick. It doesn't, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. If I'm going to type out a message to my friends, where would I rather do that? On my phone? Like, if I don't even know that I can do that in this game, but I remember like typing out or writing out messages on Animal Crossing on my DSs or whatever, and like that is not a preferable experience to using the keyboard on my phone.
Sure.
Like, it's just at a certain point, like for really like a really specific type of game, I just wonder, like, I don't know. I don't know. The chances of me getting super into an Animal Crossing game at this point, I don't know how strong they are. But I personally, at this point, kind of feel like it's more likely they would get me hooked using my phone than they would a console. I actually remember when the Wii came out, Matt Casamassina at IGN was like, he would go on about like how they should make Animal Crossing like the hub of the Wii. And make it like everything, all the menus and messaging and everything like Animal Crossing themed. And I love that idea, partially because I don't really want to play an Animal Crossing game. Like, I like Animal Crossing, but like if it was just like the wrapper that like I did all my communication and like, everything else through, I almost feel like that would be something I'd prefer to, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And so I think that kind of leads to something like I was thinking, playing this game. And it's something like I've kind of been, thinking, and I think we've talked about before, like, when Animal Crossing eventually does hit the Switch, I think it is going to need to be something quite a bit different. Because now we have a pretty close approximation available for free on a phone. And it's not, it's obviously, as we've mentioned, like, it's not an exact one-to-one replication, but it's, you can do a lot of the same stuff. You're missing some of the in-betweens in there. But it's I think for a lot of people the phone version will be enough. If we are going to get another Animal Crossing game that is essentially the same as the GameCube / Nintendo 64 game, which, I mean, the games have been basically variations on that theme, with the exception of stuff like Amiibo Festival and Happy Home Designer. Like, it's been essentially that original game. There's been tweaks but it hasn't been as significant as going from, Mario 3 to Mario 64, or from Skyward Sword to Breath of the Wild.
Mm.
Like, and I think that, I don't know. I feel like if if the next the Switch Animal Crossing game is just New Leaf in HD with maybe like a couple twists, I don't know if I'm willing to well, no, I mean I will. Like,
You'll
and
play it, but
yeah.
it's a question of will you invest a lot of time into it, and like will
Yeah,
it become the type of experience they want it to become for you? Like,
right. And will that appeal to a mass amount of people who can now play this game on their phone for free?
yeah,
Um, I think Mario Odyssey appeals to a lot of people, even though Mario Run exists.
yeah,
Um, and I think that like that's something Nintendo's really, if they're doing this whole like we're making these console portable hybrid games that cost $60, and we're making these free games that you can play on your phone. Like, I think that's got to be something they are considering going forward. Like, how close are these things, and why would you pay $60 for something when you can get a free approximation on this device that everyone has and is right there with them?
yeah. Well,
Um,
I think they're gonna be linked for sure.
mhm,
And that, but even if they are linked, it's still like your argument remains, which is like how do you convince them to spend the money to buy like a paid version of it? I would just say quickly here. I think I've said this kind of stuff before in the show. I think Mitomo at the end of the day was cool, but kind of a failed experiment. I think Miiverse was pretty cool, but obviously it didn't last. What's that game on the phone? The first one they put out on the phone that everybody deleted by now. Is that Mitomo?
Mitoma. Yeah,
Okay, what's the well?
Mitoma.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, Tamadachi Life. Tamadachi
Yeah,
Life.
yeah.
That's what it is. So Mitomo, Miiverse, Tamadachi Life. I think all of those things, the social features of those uh, games and apps should all be part of like what the Animal Cross experience is. That's what I
Mhm.
would like to see. Right now, it's like a farming sim, and like you craft stuff and build stuff or whatever. I would like to see, for me, if I'm going to be really into it, like bigger social hooks built into it in a way that like I can send messages and like have like funny conversations with friends and funny situations like in Tamagotchi Life. Like I think all that stuff kind of should be part of like the big Animal Crossing experience. And if that was the
Mhm.
case, then it could be sort of a social hub for. I mean, it's still a game that you open up or whatever, but it could be kind of a social hub for your Switch in terms of like having fun interactions with your friends. That's what I would like to see, and that's like the thing that's going to make or break Animal Crossing for me, which I guess I've already said today. But
Mhm.
if it's just collecting fruit and building stuff, like that's going to get old for me pretty quickly. And like I said, when I really liked it, it was about interacting with friends. It doesn't seem like there's going to be a ton of that on the mobile version, but if that could be a major factor in a Switch version, then I think it could be really cool. So that's what I'd like to see.
Yeah.
But we've only played an hour or two of Pocket
Yeah.
Camp, so I guess maybe we'll have more thoughts down the road. But it does kind of feel like, yeah, I can already see what this is. You know what I mean? So we'll see.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting time for it to come out. Like, I think it's funny it's coming out like right before Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a time when a lot of people are kind of uncomfortably huddled over their phones. Um, and it'll be interesting to see if there's a big push in the next few days, um, like with people playing this game and getting more invested and involved, and if it becomes a like, I don't know, like a cultural touch point or something. But right now I feel, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it right now. But yeah, I think you're right. It's gonna live and die by its the social elements.
Yeah.
Um because I think what's just there, like gameplay wise, is cool. Like, it's well done. They translated it really well, but I think, at this point in 2017, like something's really gotta have a hook to, you know, be a time commitment. So we shall see.
Yeah. Okay. Well, as host of Nintendo Fun Club
Mm.
podcast episode 154, I think it's time to wrap it up there.
Yeah. Where can people find us?
People can find us online at nintendofunclubpodcast.com. You could also email us at nintendofunclubpodcast@gmail.com. That would be cool. We have a TeePublic store, which will be linked to in the show notes if you want to grab a Nintendo Fun Club t-shirt. And I bet we'll be doing a holiday-themed update to our TeePublic store probably pretty soon. So be on the lookout for that as well. Otherwise, you can catch up with me on Twitter at Arcade Ghost. And Ryan, you're on Twitter at
Brawn Dwarf, BrawnDwarf.
All right, nice. So we'll be back in a couple weeks with another episode of Nintendo Fun Club, and you can catch us online playing Splatoon 2 this weekend, maybe.
So yes, for
sure, yeah. So until then, thanks for watching and listening. Hi, Richie. Richie's actually watching live right now, Ryan. So,
cool.
Yeah, he texted me the word butts a few minutes ago. So I don't know if he disagreed with our Animal Crossing conversation or what, but
nice.
But yeah, nice. In case you were wondering why we have a viewer, it's because it's Rich.
Okay, well, thanks for the feedback. We will keep butts in mind.
Yeah, he also texted me and said your cat is ruining the video. So, but I'm sure he was kidding.
Okay. Was making the video better.
Okay, yeah, that's probably true. All right, cool. So, anyways, thanks very much, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah, later.
Bye. Well, that's